welcome back to this week's episode of the CryptoNoobz Podcast, where we talk about cryptocurrency and the world around it. I am your host, nelsonrecardo.x, and I'm joined here with my co-host,
Lamont Astwood, aka Crypto Lambo.
And on this week's episode, we're going to be interviewing a juggernaut in the crypto space, someone who has already started their media company talking about Bitcoin and all the different phases and halvings that it's gone through. Without further ado, we would like to introduce you to Brad Mines. Lamont, could you give us a little bit more information about Brad?
Well, let me start off like this. I knew Brad is with like 5, 6 years now. So we knew each other online. Then I went to a crypto conference in Canada and we just happened to be walking past each other. Brad was like, "Oh, you're Lamont." And that's just like we knew each other online, then we met in person. So that's who I know Brad from. Brad is a big advocate for Bitcoin. He's very well known in crypto space, but I'm not going to speak for him. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
Thanks, Lambo. It's thanks for the introduction there. It's nice to see you again. We've done a couple podcasts. Lambo's been on my podcast a couple of times, and it's nice to meet you today, Nelson. Thanks for that. Thanks for inviting me on today, guys. And yeah, so again, I'm Brad Mines. I'm from the Niagara region, Canada. I've been in Bitcoin since 2017. I started off as a crypto guy and kind of just became more Bitcoin maximalist over the years in terms of allocation, anyways. And so after a few years being in, I launched Halving Report, which is now become my international Bitcoin media brand, and just been interviewing many figures in the space for many years now. So I've probably had over probably 100 guests on the show. So talked to some really interesting people, Lambo included. So now I've recently relocated to Thailand. So that's where I'm recording from today. I'm in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, second biggest city in Thailand. And yeah, I'm happy to be here talking with you guys, exchanging information, making new friends. And that's what it's all about. It's been all about Bitcoin community since I've been out here. So yeah, that's kind of my story in Bitcoin. I wanted to really put something out there that I can, recall back on, my proof of work, as I say, talking to all these people and getting some recognition in the space and of course, networking with folks all around. So that's kind of a little bit about my journey.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And I love how I've watched episodes of the Bitcoin of the Halving Report, and I could definitely say that I have actually enjoyed it. I've actually enjoyed some of the speakers that you brought on and some of the information they would have given. I really think that it's really dope. But just as you would have said, you started in Bitcoin and you eventually became a maximalist, and you started the Halving Report as a result of that. But what I'd like to deeper into is like what would have really like inspired you to really start a media company around Bitcoin. We have the Halving Report, but why did what was the thing that what actually this is what I want to ask. What was the thing that made you said you have to make a media company out of this? Like why?
Yeah, so that was just a kind of combination of the skills that I already had. I just wanted to put together. I'm like, what can I do in this space? I wasn't a developer or coder. So one thing I wanted to do that was for myself, but also for the community. So it was just kind of gathering my thoughts, really. I don't know if it was one single thing that triggered it, but background in politics at university, so kind of became a little bit of a news junkie, and then that transitioned to being a Bitcoin news junkie and just wanting to learn more about it. And I'm just thinking, what can I bring to the space? What can I do to help the situation, to help Bitcoin adoption? And yeah, when I started the podcast, I wouldn't say I was complete Bitcoin maximalist at that time, but over the time, I just became in terms of allocation, I became just more of a Bitcoin maxi that way. But yeah, it was just a combination of skills, man. A passion for Bitcoin, background in politics and news, and then just bringing all that full circle and realizing that I was early. That was actually one big thing I will say is just having that realization that, oh man, it's 2017, 2018, 2019, like pretty early into the space still at that time. There wasn't the infrastructure that's there today didn't exist back then. It was obviously coming along, but still wasn't quite there. So I would say just the realization of being early and just putting my skills together and being able to create something in this space, because I just had so much passion for Bitcoin.
So additionally to that is, right, as you know, we also have our own podcast, CryptoNoobz Podcast. And definitely one of the things we could say is how we started is not necessarily where we're at right now. So how did the Halving Report evolve over time? Like what changed?
Yeah, so lots changed, man. Lots has changed, and you know what? There's no better time to start a podcast or a channel than now. It's like the tools are there, man. You can run a show that would have taken a whole team between a couple of guys. Now you can do so much, even one person now. But yeah, how it's developed. Well, originally it was just audio only, right? So all I had was a microphone. I had like maybe webcam, but like I didn't really use it. It wasn't until my 50th episode when I had Roger Ver on. He's the founder of Bitcoin.com, an early investor, probably a billionaire kind of guy. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to seize this opportunity. So this is when I launched video, and then I launched YouTube. So so I have video now, I can put that on YouTube. So just learning everything as you go, because when you first start, you don't know how any of this stuff works, or maybe you do, maybe you've done it before, but for me, everything was brand new. So I would say the leap from just going audio to video was a big leap, and then the advent of AI has changed everything now too, because now it's all about making vertical clips, analyze the text, and just prioritize, where you want to grow. What's your priorities? How can you do something that's going to be sustainable, longevity, creating a schedule. That's maybe one thing that I always struggled with, was always keeping a schedule or a backlog of episodes. As you know, time moves on so quickly, and it's a marathon, not a race. So that's one of the big lessons I've learned. How long have you guys been doing CryptoNoobz now?
We actually just started in 2024. Actually making like videos and just like turning it into a podcast. Initially, CryptoNoobz was just like Instagram and Twitter posts, like just free crypto education. And we partnered up and decided to say, you know what, let's just take this a little bit more seriously than we're doing. So yeah, so 2024, we just started to put stuff out there, and here we are.
And how do you two know each other?
I'll let Lamont start off with that.
That's a good question. That's a good question, because I know we went to college. I think we went to college either around the same time. So what was so funny is we always like kind of moved in the same circles. Then like we started getting more when I started like getting more interested in crypto, I started to get to know Nelson more. And I remember when we had the Crypto Bahamas event, I invited Nelson, because I only invited like a few people. And so I invited Nelson to the Solana Hacker House. And that's when we really like kind of our connection really strengthened during that time. But yeah, I knew Nelson for years, man. And like, trust me, we have like a lot of mutual friends. Like, I'm sure Brad, like the Bahamas is very small. Like if you know one person, you pretty much you could have a connection to pretty much almost everybody on the island. It's really, really small.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Lamont invited me to my first crypto conference. That was like Crypto Bahamas was my very first crypto conference. And it's like I went to the Solana Hacker House and like so many different other events outside of that, I had actually came to Lamont when I was looking for alternative ways to invest. He's a young guy. He got some extra money on the side now. It's like, okay, I want to invest this money. I want this money to work for me. So I tagged Lamont, and Lamont was like, hey, you should just come to this particular event. And, from there it was history.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
So
it's a good story. Yeah.
Yeah. So Brad, you are a member of something. You don't know you're a member of this, but you're a member of something I like to call the Caribbean Canadian Crypto Connection, right?
Okay, I love that.
A lot of Canadians who live in the Bahamas who deal in crypto and vice versa, right? So you don't know you're a member of that. But I just want to ask you, you're like I'm gonna call you now my Canadian correspondent for crypto, right? Even though you're living in
Okay.
Thailand, right? So like from your perspective, what do you see? How do you see crypto evolving in Canada versus like the United States or the Caribbean? Like, what do you,
Mm.
as far as the policies, the attitudes towards things like that? Because we all know after the whole FTX debacle, the Caribbean, we're getting better, but they have taken a bit of a step back. But I think with increased education and through crypto noobs, people will start to become more confident in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology again. So, what's your view on the Canadian perspective?
Yeah, Canadian perspective, and I kind of generalize Canada with like the Western countries a little bit when it comes to regulation. I'm seeing a lot of just as an investment tool, more like a savings technology. We're kind of getting that narrative around Bitcoin. Canada tends to follow America when it comes to financial laws, but at the same time, Donald Trump's a little bit more unhinged than what Canadians are used to seeing south of the border. So I think that might change now. We'll be more slow to adopt maybe some of their pro crypto policies because I don't know. I think a lot of the old heads that are in charge aren't, they're a little bit more cautious. So, they're not going to come out and say, "Oh, we're going to do a Bitcoin reserve and all this kind of thing." I think we've seen, sort of a half step towards Bitcoin and crypto in America. Like they've announced a lot of things, but haven't moved forward with a whole lot yet. So hopefully that'll change and Canada will follow. Right now, I'm just seeing it as a same old store of value asset. And people in my community, like my friend Sean, who started the Bitcoin Niagara group, my hometown area where Niagara Falls is in Canada, Southern Ontario. He has been organizing the Bitcoin group for the meetup every month now for a few years. So you can follow Niagara BTC on Instagram and kind of or Twitter/X, and you can kind of follow up what we're doing. We have meetups with like 20 or 30 people in our little small town every month, which is a good thing. But we're trying to get more merchants on board. We had like this goal to get like 21 merchants to represent 21 million Bitcoin, but it's difficult. It's difficult to get merchants on board because people switch jobs, new employees come in, and then these new ones aren't trained, and it's just seldom frequently. So unless they're passionate about Bitcoin themselves, these folks just kind of forget how to maybe even show a Bitcoin Lightning QR code to accept Bitcoin as payment. So kind of seeing slow adoption in my home area when it comes to that. But Canada is a big player in the space, and we have a lot of familiar faces in the crypto space from Canada. So we do have quite a big influence out there, considering we're only a country of 35 million people. Yeah. So and now compared to like Caribbean or where I am in Thailand or maybe developing nations, I think it's going to be a little bit of a different narrative because folks can really utilize this technology and skip old financial tools and skip right to Bitcoin and just be able to have internet access and have an app and be able to accept Bitcoin. And that's shout out to Jimmy Costro, the American here, who's building the Bitcoin Learning Center. It's kind of what they've been. That's been their approach is community, get all these Thai people in. So they're getting like so many Thai people into Bitcoin right now and just learning the basics and starting to build, media infrastructure here because there's not that much. There's not as much here as in like the English speaking world. So, yeah, it's a different out in here where folks can really, just utilize that, the freedom aspects of Bitcoin. Whereas I'm seeing in Canada still, it's more of just like another asset that people with money will add to their portfolio. Unless you're like me, like a hardcore Bitcoin believer, and you want to put like a large percentage of your portfolio into Bitcoin, or you got in early enough that it wasn't a big part of your Bitcoin allocation portfolio at first, but eventually Bitcoin just outgrew everything else, and then it became your biggest. So and that's kind of what happened for me. So yeah, definitely seeing different narratives around the world. But it's great. You see Bitcoin presence in pretty much every country around the world now, which is pretty awesome to see.
All right, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense because it does seem like in more so like developing nations, like versus developed nations, a lot of developed nations seems like they're using more so as an asset to invest, whereas developing nations, Bitcoin, crypto, especially like with the advent of stable coins, it seems as though they could use it more in their infrastructure, like payment infrastructure more. So, but yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
see those types of things here inside the Bahamas. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, because the thing is like with island nations, islands are really spread apart. So being able to transfer that kind of money would be like a huge deal for island nations.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and it's too bad. You know what? I hope something like I don't know if you guys know Stripe. They're like big payment processor that integrated into a lot of websites to make payments really easy. And I think if something like that, more of these companies, like I think Revolut, another payment processor company, they're sort of like PayPal, just not as big. Like more of these companies start integrating Bitcoin and Bitcoin Lightning. I think that will really help people, people working abroad and just making payments. Because being over here, man, I'm still dealing with like Wise international apps, and I got to transfer from my Canadian account to that one, and then withdraw Thai bots from the machine, and it's like I feel like eventually we just need to skip all these steps, use the money of the internet, which is Bitcoin. And but I think there's still a lot of old heads, old companies that are dragging their heels. Probably specifically Visa and Mastercard really wouldn't want that, and they can make a lot of companies' lives difficult still with the power that they have. So, but I think eventually, Bitcoin will become bigger than that. Then and there'll be more of a lobbying, natural lobbyers to integrate these things. So, you know, and I see like Jack Mallers is making a lot of big moves to try to make Bitcoin as everyday payments. So a lot of people really believe that's how we succeed in this space and to take over with Bitcoin is to make everyday payments. And the Lightning Network effect um, is growing bigger all the time. So I'm a big proponent of that, and hopefully we can see everywhere in the world being able to use and process Bitcoin payments. But right now, I think there's still some resistance to that.
Yeah. But it's definitely coming. It's coming. It's coming. I could definitely see that a lot more banks as well as as you said, Visa and Mastercard. I'm sure I saw something where they're testing it out, or they're trying to slowly integrate it. So I
Hmm.
can see that coming in the future. But
Yeah.
I wanted to dig into um, your podcast has the name The Halving Report. So as you know,
Hmm.
we speak to an audience of people who are very much beginners. They don't really understand a lot of this crypto stuff.
Hmm.
So what does what does the halving what does halving mean as it
Hmm.
pertains to Bitcoin? And could you explain that process in a simple way to our audience?
Yeah, I'll do my best. I think it's been a while since I've explained this head on like this, but yeah, it is a little bit complex because you need to understand a little bit of the history of money or what gives money value. So most people think of money as fiat currency, and if more people are starting to learn what inflation is, right? So basically, Bitcoin is controlling how much is out there, right? And there's a certain supply that comes out, and everybody knows that. Whereas opposed to governments, they print as much money as they want, and then that screws everybody that's holding cash dollars because we're seeing inflation. So the halving is simply the supply of Bitcoin being cut in half. So every 4 years, approximately, because it's based on approximate blocks, and we won't get all into that, but approximately every 4 years, the daily supply of Bitcoin is cut in half. So it's actually great. So guys, I just relaunched halvingreport.com. So this is my website, and right on the homepage of halvingreport.com, I show the halvings, man. I show 50, start off with 50 Bitcoin rewards every block that was mined every 10 minutes. So this is how much miners would get in reward for trading computational power to uphold the Bitcoin network. 4 years later, on what is it, November 28th, 2012, that 50 Bitcoin got down to 25 Bitcoin. So it really creates supply shock in Bitcoin, and it regulates how much comes out. So every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin coming out daily is cut in half, and that sends crazy a supply shock to the whole market. So Bitcoin trades what it's at every day because people are buying and selling it all the time, and this is how much it's trading for. So a lot of people argue that it's the only true free market that we have out there, because it trades 24/7 and there's no restricting it. There's no banks, there's no regulatory bodies that can come and say, oh, Bitcoin's not trading at these hours. It's always trading all the time. So it's a true free market, and we're seeing the Bitcoin supply dropping every 4 years. So, I tell people all the time, hodl, stack Bitcoin for 4 years, or for 2 cycles, which is 8 years, and which is basically what I did. But I think I beat the 8-year timeline a little bit because I went aggressive in the beginning, as much as I could. And within 8 years of saving Bitcoin, I truly think most people will be in a very, very good position from where they started. So yeah, guys, if you just to plug my new website, halvingreport.com, and you can just scroll right down. We got the countdown to the next halving, to give,
days.
pardon me?
867 days.
Yeah, 867 days left until the
man.
next 2028 halving. So plan accordingly. We got a couple years to go. Got the Bitcoin price, and if you just scroll down, you can see, first halving, second, third, fourth, and the fifth halving is poised to be April 2028, and then the block reward is going to be 1.5 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So the supply is going to get cut in half again, and you can actually see on the website too the price of Bitcoin at each halving, and it's like, okay, $0, $12 to $650, $650 to $8,700 in 2020. 2024, $63,000. So you're seeing like crazy multiple X between each halving at the price. So if you zoom out and look at the Bitcoin price by 4 years, like it's just a no-brainer. So a lot of people that come into the space are just way too short-term thinking. And so simply said, if I could recap, halving is simply having the supply of Bitcoin that comes out every 10 minutes, and every 4 years, that's going to keep going until the year 2140. And then, we can get into that, but that'll be the end of all the halvings. And by then, hopefully Bitcoin's, well taken over as the world currency. Obviously the world's going to change a lot in the next 100 years, but it's the hardest money on earth, in my opinion. So hopefully that sorry, I was off our page here. It's StreamYard page, and now I'm back and I can see you guys have that up. Thank you for throwing that up for me. Yeah, so you can see there at the top, I'm still working on it every day, but got the homepage there, got the blog. So we're going to start covering in-depth articles, very dense, informative articles about everything happening in everything happening in Bitcoin, I'll say. Maybe some larger coverage of crypto stuff, but it's going to be Bitcoin focused, getting back to the basics, and also covering news. And then I also added a DCA calculator, so dollar cost average calculator, so you can go in there and see how much you would have made if you would have started buying Bitcoin like $100 a week for the last 5 years or 10 years or even 6 months or whatever dates you want to put in there. You can go ahead and check that out. And it's actually going to compare the dollar cost average strategy to the lump sum strategy, which is pretty cool too. Do you see that at the top there? DCA calculator? I'm not sure who's controlling that.
I was looking for it. My apple.
Oh, okay. So you can see if you scroll down just a little bit, it got a currency converter there, and then it's just defaulted. I think it's on like 3 years or 5 years. I can't see, it's a little small. And then you just hit generate results there.
Generate result. Okay, I actually want
to calculate returns. Yeah, it's going to give you a 5-year of $100 investment weekly. So you're looking at 26,000 invested, 60,000 would be the current value of that. Is that what you're seeing there?
Yeah.
And then if you were to lump sum it, if you put all that money in at the very beginning rather than reoccurring buys throughout all this time, you'd be at $130,000 with a $26,000 investment. So lump sum's always gonna, be the winning strategy in the long term. But I think it's just a cool, neat tool. I've seen a lot of them out there online, but I just want to create like a new, more modern looking one. And I like to use this stuff too. I like to use the currency converter too. I even got Thai bots in there. Maybe I'll add in the what do you guys use? What's your currency down there?
Being the dollar.
BSD.
Yeah.
VSD. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
BSD,
maybe we
yeah.
can add in there
Yeah.
for you guys.
Same
But
value as the US dollar.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
It wasn't the
Oh,
one
okay.
with the US dollar.
Mm. So yeah, I just been working on this. I just relaunched this site. Going to be focusing on the blog, tweeting out new articles, new informative, contextual articles. I see a lot of bullshit on Twitter where it's just like, oh, this is happening, but it's like, nah, maybe this isn't really happening. So I just kind of break down the probability of things that they say are happening. I covered the there was just a world's first Bitcoin marathon. We had that in Thailand just at the beginning of the month here. So I covered that extensively. Um, so yeah, I just restarted this website again and going to focus more on probably fewer podcasts and more of these I think more high value Bitcoin articles that are. I think you'll take away a lot from these. So yeah, that's what I've been working on now. That's what the halving is simply stated. It's difficult because you could really get into more in-depth things with Bitcoin, but without losing the listeners, you kind of need a background knowledge in kind of how money and Bitcoin or computers work a little bit, but. Yeah, what would you guys say, like your guys' individual understanding of like Bitcoin is compared to like the rest of the space?
Lamont, you want to tackle that one?
You say with our understanding compared to the rest of the space?
Yeah, like I kind of explained the halving. Like you got. I'm sure Lambo's got some sort of understanding of that. But like, are you guys? What kind of things are you guys interested in learning in the crypto space right now?
Well, I can speak for myself. I come from a more traditional finance background. So a lot of stuff I'm interested in is more so like the investment side of things. The tech side, not to say it isn't important, but sometimes I can get lost in it. I know I made it a point to learn about the tech side of it. I made it a real point, but the more so like the investment side, and especially like what they're doing in the US with all these ETFs and stuff like that. These are stuff we're kind of like it's now starting to blend in more with the traditional finance space. So those are the more things like I find myself personally being more interested in, like how to create investment portfolios around crypto. Remember
Mm,
in the day that was like almost taboo to add crypto or anything related to crypto into an investment portfolio. Now you have institutional investors, you have high net worth individuals who want that in their portfolios now. So those are the things where really more so my interests and my curiosity is piqued.
On my
mm,
end, on my end, I'm actually the opposite of Lamont.
Mhm.
Hence why we actually work so well as a team. I'm actually more on the tech side rather than the finance side. I actually am more interested in RWA, real world assets. I'm interested to see like how real world assets are going to be tokenized and added to the blockchain and used in our day to day life, our day to day practices. I've actually shifted after my various failed crypto investments. Out of my various failed crypto investments, I have now actually shifted to more of a practicality mindset. The first thing that I'm always asking with anything crypto now is okay, what is the end user actually going to get from this? And that's like my current mindset. The next thing I'm also
mm.
interested in is digital collectibles. I can't wait for NFTs to make a comeback. I'll tell the truth. NFTs were NFTs were one of the first things I really started to invest in when I got into crypto. Hence my various failed investments. Because when the NFT market crashed, like that tanked. That absolutely tanked. You know, but still, I do think that NFTs from a tech standpoint always had a very powerful use case. Like the very fact that you could create this token, and from the creation of this token, you could design it to be anything you technically want, you know? So, at least back then, how an NFT would work is once you actually purchase a token, you get rewards from different stores just for holding the token, access to certain events, access to certain drops. Was not. I think that from a marketing perspective, that could be used in many different ways, and that could be very useful to a company, given that the end user actually understands what they're getting and it's easy for them to access it once they've already paid their money. So those are the two areas that I would say that I'm most interested in. And I am very eager to see like where that goes. I do think NFTs are going to make a comeback. The only thing is they're not going to call it NFTs anymore.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, that's a thing too. Is I think every cycle there's a a new group of words that are used or new buzzwords that kind of come out too. But let me ask you this, Nelson. Like, so when you go to invest, if you're going to invest right now, are you going to go and buy an NFT,
Oh
or are you going
no,
to buy something else?
no. I would actually, from an investment standpoint, the only cryptos that I would probably be investing in would probably be between Bitcoin, Solana, XLM, XRP, um, Ethereum. I'm actually now I've from the crypto standpoint, I've actually turned to a bit more of a conservative investor. Um, because once again, lost a lot of money. But when it comes to the NFT portions, I wouldn't invest inside of NFTs unless I have a relationship with the brand itself. That would be the first thing I would actually look at. Okay, like for example, there was a brand called Azuki Clan. And Azuki Clan was about anime and basically like Japanese stuff, right? And
Mm,
they were pretty cool. They were pretty, epic. I love the storytelling, I love the designs, and I like the community. Now, if they were to start producing, I mean, they've already started, right? But if they were to create an even better ecosystem
yeah,
around that particular story, that particular vibe, that particular IP, then once I could see that connection is already getting stronger, then I would actually go and say, okay, I purchase your NFTs and what's not. But even then, I'm looking at your NFTs to be at a sensible price, not nothing too crazy.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yep.
I mean, so many things can happen in this space. You never know if they're going to bounce back. Like they were so ballooned out at one point. I know some of the prices of those things, but I was tempted to purchase some too. But I'm like, you know what? I got this Bitcoin. I'm like, I just need. I feel like I have my for sure ticket. I just need to be patient at this point. I'm not risking anything, man. So that's why I say I'm an allocation maxi. I'm like, philosophically, you can go play with whatever you want. Like, just like I wouldn't put real money into anything else besides Bitcoin. Even like you're talking about some of the other cryptocurrencies, not to name them, but like, yeah, it's a lot of them haven't been around long enough for me to trust it. I'm like, I'm not going to put like real money. I wouldn't want to put like tens of thousands of dollars into a smaller token or something like that where I don't know where I could possibly lose it. I just want to take zero risk because actually, like yourself, Nelson, I lost a bunch of money in crypto when I first got in 2017. I bought a whole bunch of crypto. Some of the ones you even named, I think you said XRP, Ethereum. But yeah, it just got so inflated with all these scam tokens and ICO. It was the ICO phase. I was like, oh, like these are all this is just the boom. And I kind of realized a lot of these people are just trying to take your Bitcoin at the end of the day. And I'm like, oh man. So, but yeah, there are some other, other things out there that people are utilizing. Just for me, I just don't utilize them. So for me, I just need a store of value, and I want a revolutionary store of value. And I think that's Bitcoin for me. But yeah, no, I think a lot of people like yourself, got into NFTs, or it's actually where I met Lambo at the blockchain futures conference. Like all these people, all these young people are getting into crypto through NFTs and Web3, not through Bitcoin like myself. they're getting it through all these other ways. So I think a lot of them will lead them to Bitcoin, or at least to study Bitcoin, because it was kind of like that was obviously like Pandora's box opening. Here's blockchain technology. So yeah, it is interesting to see how everybody comes into it through a different lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There you go. My personal thing with NFTs, I always kind of look at them as like trading cards, right? That's how I kind of looked at
Yeah.
them, and it's just that the barrier to entry became so low that people was producing NFT projects about anything, and they was just building up all this hype and all that. But I do actually think that there is a place for it. It just depends on the issuer and the context of it. So, for example, I'm a huge UFC fan. When the UFC started
Mm.
making their NFTs, I bought some. I've sold them all off now, but I bought some because I was like, all right, depending on the career of this particular fighter, this NFT might be worth something. It's almost like buying a trading card for an athlete, who ends up doing really well. Buying a rookie Michael Jordan card, that's worth a lot of money these days. So that's kind of like the way how I kind of viewed it. But it would be interesting to see it come back. I think there is use cases for it.
Yeah. I think one of the best use cases for NFTs would probably be video games. That's my personal, because I think with video games, right? Um, Look at Fortnite for example. With Fortnite, you could buy all these different skins, all these different weapons, and what's not, right? But your skins and your weapons are basically tagged to your user account, and you can't really give away those skins like when you're tired of them or whatever, what's not, right? So what if there's
Mm-hmm.
like a secondary market where every skin, every skin, every weapon could now be sold on the secondary market. Um, so now, if you couldn't get a skin during a particular drop and you know they're never going to do that drop again, now you
Mm-hmm.
could always say, hey, I have this particular skin. I am willing to sell it to you for X amount of
Mm-hmm.
money, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And based on how they have the system set up, you you are actually rewarded for getting into particular skins early. Now, there could be some problems. Obviously, there could be some oversights that I might not be seeing, but that's really and truly where I see that happening, because
Yeah.
I would have loved, you know what I think would be cool? You know what I think would be absolutely epic? If there's a weapon that I could use in several different video games.
Mm.
Mm, BFG or something like.
That's
It
what I
does
think would
sound
be cool.
yeah. Yeah, it is. That is a cool concept. I like the idea of real ownership of digital assets, like in some sort of video game world. I do like that, and even some of the Bitcoin maxis I talk to, like if there's like some things that they kind of dip into elsewise, it's like yeah, through a video game, or even people that aren't into crypto at all, but like oh yeah, they were like trading these these digital assets within the games or whatever. But just recently, even like I forget what game it was, but like there was like these knives that there was only like 1,000 of them, and they were so valuable. And then all of a sudden, the game like produced more of these things that were supposed to be rare, and it just killed the value of them. So one aspect of that I will say versus Bitcoin is you're still centralized if it's this company is controlling it, and they can kind of make these changes, and they're always making changes of personnel too. So like maybe they get a new CEO and I want more knives or whatever, and then they fuck your value over of this thing. So there definitely are some concerns, and that's what came to my mind when you said that. But I do like the concept. I think there just needs to be more. It's just in development right now, and hopefully those things will be figured out in the future. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go and like invest money into them, but it's cool to like get value out of going into a game and playing for so long, and you actually have something at the end of it. That part I like.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. So, like on your website, right? The
Mm-hmm.
From you can see on the website and online, the value of Bitcoin right now is about $90,000, right? It
Right.
has dropped exponentially in the past few weeks. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a negative. I think it can be a positive depending on your perspective on it, right? What is your current thoughts on the market and what's going on right now?
Yeah, well, we haven't seen rates come down in America, so I think there's some American policies that are having a lot of money, a lot of big money on the sidelines. But I think we're in unprecedented waters right now with everything that's going on with Bitcoin. Like, for instance, we saw new all-time highs before the halving, which we'd never seen before, when it hit $73,000. That was interesting, and now we have these ETF inflows. So I personally don't think we're into the bear market already, but it is very possible that we're going to be go sideways now, maybe for a while. But I think that, with maybe quantitative easing, with Fed rates coming down, and maybe these constant people buying these ETFs, I think that I still think we see like a more supply shock, and I think we go higher than the all-time high, which is $126,000 US. I still think that we're going to come back in the next maybe month or two. I think we got some time. $90,000 seemed a little bit disappointing because it's pretty much the same price 1 year ago today. So I think it's very unlikely we're going to see $90,000 in a year from today. It's probably going to be much higher than it is today. So, for folks that bought, anytime within, before this past year, these people are still up. They're still have a lot, have made some great gains in Bitcoin, but these short-term buyers, there's a percentage of people that are just not long-term holders, right? But you can see like 70% of Bitcoin is in like long-term holding addresses. So that's a really good sign. And I didn't look into it, but I did just see somebody sent me a headline that a whole bunch of Bitcoin, like hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, have been withdrawing off exchanges recently, which could indicate a future supply shock. So that could be coming up in the next couple of months. So I got to look into that a little bit more, because I just saw a headline today of a big withdrawal, or lots of withdrawals happening from exchanges. We could probably look it up real quick, but that's usually a big indicator of that having supply shock coming into effect. We're right at the cusp of that time after the halving where we should be hitting all-time highs. Did we see it at 126? That's the golden question. Have we already seen the all-time high of 126,000 this cycle? I personally don't think so, but it is possible. Nobody has a crystal ball at the end of the day. So, I'm feeling good about the market. I think there's a lot of things coming up in the next month or two that could be a catalyst to spring Bitcoin back to all new time highs. So that's where I stand. What do you guys think?
Well, me personally, I think, well, like the state of what's going on in the US, first of all, I think is a good opportunity for people who are buying in, right? Now, you might say, okay, Bitcoin is a little bit too high for you to get in and say make a profit. But, usually what Bitcoin does, other altcoins follow. And I tell people, like, if you plan to invest in altcoins, now is the time to actually learn about different altcoins and altcoins that could probably have value in the future, not just invest in any old coin, right? But Bitcoin has been on a rise. Like, even though it's down to $90,000, when you compare it to prior years, like, they're still up. Like, the people who invested years ago, I don't think they're freaking out and jumping off buildings right now. Like I don't think they're declaring bankruptcy right now. Like, this is just I could say like probably a small shock. Like in the US, you have Donald Trump. Me and Nelson always talk about Donald Trump. Like the market, whatever mood he's in, that's what the market's going to do. So it's almost like he is a turbulent person, so you're gonna have turbulent markets under him. So it's just that you just gotta kind of get used to it. And for all the people who in crypto, trust me, when you see like these ebbs and flows, these jumps and declines in value, that's relatively normal in crypto. You're gonna get used to it. Like, you ever see the meme? And Nelson, if you were at it, I want you to put the picture up. I think is what is the guy named something Franco, the actor, and he's have the noose around his neck, and he's saying, "Oh, this your first time?" And it's like, yeah. So all the new investors,
James Franco,
James Franco, just gonna say, "Yeah, this is your first time." See, that's how it is.
Yeah, as as you get more used to the market, it's like we've seen lows before. We saw Bitcoin at $16,000. Okay, bro. Anything above
Yeah.
$16,000, I'm Gucci.
Like it isn't even about
Perfect. Yeah.
Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin's always going to be okay. When you start investing in altcoins and when you see their value drop, that's where the real scare is. When you are mostly your value and most of your portfolio in those, like
Oh
post
yeah.
FTX, what happened with Solana? It's like I thought Solana was finished. Like
Mm.
I thought it was finished. Uh, to see Solana bounce back like that was like wow. Because I think I sold off one of my
Mhm.
Solanas. Like, all right, I really wish I held on to it because
Same.
yeah,
Mm.
like I thought they were
Yeah.
done. But
Listen,
I mean, it was a good. I mean, it was a good guess. Like it could have been. It could have been for sure.
eh, for back to your initial question, like what I think about what's going on. I actually saw where CZ actually had this Twitter post a couple years ago, and he actually said, "I can't wait for the news when they're gonna say Bitcoin is done at $85,000, right? So he can't wait. No, not Bitcoin is done. He said he can't wait for the news to say Bitcoin crashes to $85,000. And just as he said,
Yeah.
this year that actually happened, and it
Mhm.
was hilarious. It's like, yo, this dude. Everyone is like, yo, CZ literally just came out of
Yeah.
jail, and he's already. I- that's a real titan, bro.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
I think that was while a lot of people are in fair mode, it's like people who have been in the industry for a while, they're just like, yo, this is the best buying opportunity ever. But I thought I also saw where someone, I can't remember who it was. I can't remember if it was CZ. Um, but someone said we'll never see Bitcoin at 85,000 again. After that, we're never gonna see that price again. I'm not too sure if that's the truth or what's not, but I do think that I do think that right now is definitely a great buying opportunity. We just had hit our all-time high of 126,000, and I think even if there is a period of us going sideways for a while, um, I think that when we actually do start to go up, it's going to be a huge rally. I do think that things are going to spike, and when it spikes, shucks, we'll probably never get to see Bitcoin underneath 100,000 again after the next one.
I really hope so, man. Over 100 grand's a good place to be. I think so. Good place for me personally. I like to see my stack over 100,000. I don't like looking in when it's underneath now. So, yeah, that's good. I'm glad you guys are optimistic too, man. So, we'll see. Only time will tell.
Yeah. So my next question to you would be this, right? So if someone is just getting into Bitcoin and crypto right now, what mindset or strategy should they focus on instead of just chasing quick gains?
Mm. Yeah, I would say you're gonna want to stick to Bitcoin. I would tell them to start cost averaging in, or put whatever they have if they have a lump sum that they want to throw in right away. Like we both like fear and greed index is like really low right now, right? Was it 10 or 15 or something? So these are historically the best times to buy Bitcoin, and especially if they don't know anything, like unless they're like super passionate about the technology and they're going to be, they want to take some chances and some gambles, and maybe they want to do something different. But for the average investor, I'm going to say you're going to want to start off with, maybe just a small wallet, acquire a little bit of Bitcoin and see how it works, and just learn the basics. I would say just stick to the basics and have a low time preference, really, because a lot of people want to get rich in like a year's time, but like man, getting rich in like 8 years is like not a bad thing. Like it's a really fucking great thing to be able to have this technology. We live in a great time to utilize this technology. Uh, you know, people always want to outpace Bitcoin. So if you do that, though, the chances of you losing your money are quite high, are a lot higher than if you just have it in Bitcoin and in cold storage. So I would learn the basics, start studying Bitcoin, just take in what you can about it. But really, it's not as complex. A lot of misconception about it is that it's super complex. It's really easy. You just have to buy and hold. You don't need to trade it. A lot of people think that people make money in this space because they're trading all the time. That's not true. A lot of the people in this space, a lot of Bitcoin millionaires are just Bitcoin millionaires for simply hodling. Those are the types of people that make money. It's like hodlers, people that own exchanges, or maybe a founder of something else. But for the most part, it's just going to be holding Bitcoin and not touching it, not logging in. Don't look every single day. It's going to cause you high stress. Again, unless you're like working in this space, doing a podcast or something like that in this space, I would just set it and forget it. Buy in what you can. Keep holding it. Learn about security. Security is a big thing in Bitcoin. Obviously holding your money on, say, an exchange like Lambo mentioned FTX there a couple times. Like if you have money on that exchange back in 2022, you're cooked right now, right? So learn about cold storage, study Bitcoin, learn why it's revolutionary, and just simply get off zero, man. Like just get off zero, own a little bit, because we're seeing gains and gains, and it's like, oh wow, you didn't look for a couple of years, maybe you only bought $100 worth, but guess what? It's worth 500 now. So that would be my advice for new people getting in. Don't overwhelm yourself. Free education. Don't get caught in all these expensive courses. It's there's free education out there in Bitcoin. All you have to do is simply put a little time and effort in to try to understand it. Download a wallet of Satoshi or something. You can play with Bitcoin and send a little bit back and forth to friends or whatever, or buy services. But for brand new people, man, it's just buy and hold, man. Buy and hold.
I like that. I like that.
Keep buying. Sorry, no, let me freeze that. Keep buying and keep holding. Don't just buy $300 and expect to get rich in a couple of years. You got to buy like $300 a month. Keep buying. And you can use the dollar cost average calculator on halvingreport.com, and you can realize how much you'd be up over a certain amount of years.
Makes sense. So this question could probably help beginners as well, right? How do you, and with you running like a crypto focus show, how do you avoid misinformation and FUD, like fear, uncertainty, and doubt, as well? And this is going to be another part of that question. You focus mainly on Bitcoin. How do you avoid FOMO with other cryptocurrencies, and not when you hear about a certain type of coin that's making waves? What's in you that say like, all right, I'm not going to jump into that because I'm going to stick with my Bitcoin?
Mhm.
And it seems as though it's been really beneficial, like for that mindset. But a lot of people, that's like, how do you maintain that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. That's a really good question, and usually depending on which crypto it is, it's from a different angle. So maybe you want to talk about XRP, so maybe Bitcoiners will say, well, it's compared to Bitcoin, it's very centralized. Or maybe you want to say, oh, well, look at Solana's gains. Okay, but let's compare that to the 4-year chart of Bitcoin, or how much it's worth in Bitcoin and not dollars. So there's always usually some sort of metric that Bitcoiners can pull from that will compare a cryptocurrency to Bitcoin, and they can find some sort of avenue, whether it be, like I say, it could be a couple different avenues where they want to compare crypto coins. Another thing too is chasing. If something did go 400%, well, okay, well now you're gonna sell some of your Bitcoin and buy into it, something that just jumped 400%. Or you're gonna stick to what and what maybe you're due to get your gains next. So I think that depending on what crypto we're talking about, it's going to depend on what argument people are going to take against it. So there's some really easy ones. You start talking about Dogecoin with an unlimited supply cap. That's another thing too about talk about crypto coins. I don't know about you guys, but if we start naming off crypto coins right now, I don't know how, I probably could only tell you that 21 million is the cap for Bitcoin. I don't know the cap of Ethereum. I don't know the cap of XRP. I don't know the cap of any of the other coins. Maybe Bitcoin Cash, because this is like a duplicate basically, but faster or bigger blocks. That would be the same cap. So unless it's like a Bitcoin related coin, like we might have a 21 million cap. But in terms of other things, like, and that's actually really important, because the most important aspect of money throughout history has been scarcity. And Bitcoin is the only one that I know the supply cap of. Maybe that's just my own ignorance, but I think it's just like there's a lot of unknowns out there for other crypto coins, and how much is going to be out there at the end of the day. Whereas Bitcoin, we always know there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins. So the fact that, it's, to me, it's like the only commonly known supply cap, speaks volumes to the most important property of money, which is scarcity. So, yeah, I kind of just stick to those basics. I will be honest with you, Lambo. I still get FOMO when I see XRP went up, whatever, 400%. I'm like, oh damn, that shit. But again, most people that I know that have money in there, it's not as much money as I like allocate to Bitcoin. It's a small percentage. So again, you're taking risk, you're taking more of a gamble. Where I think Bitcoin's that for sure ticket to freedom.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I
Because
agree. I
even
think. Well, no, you got it.
yeah, because even in my own journey, I've noticed like I've lost money in projects, and it's like literally if I had just put that in Bitcoin, I would have been okay. But yeah,
Yeah, I would definitely have a lot more Bitcoin right now if I only bought Bitcoin. If I only bought Bitcoin and stuck with Bitcoin, I would have probably, double or triple the amount of Bitcoin that I have.
Listen, I really, as I said, I really wish I stuck with Bitcoin rather than those NFTs.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
probably be, I'd probably be so straight right now. Like, I think definitely it also comes down to the kind of investor that you are as well. I think
yeah.
that out of all of the cryptos, I think Bitcoin is the surest cryptocurrency. And everything else is, if we have to be honest, more or less a high risk investment slash gamble. I
Mm,
think everything else after Bitcoin is that, because it's like we're betting on this thing is actually going to have a strong use case that
mm,
many people around the world are going to use it. So that
yeah,
makes it like, hey, if this works out, we win. If for whatever reason this doesn't work out, well, had a good run.
yeah, yeah. You
Now,
might be out of your money. Yeah.
now that does bring me to this question. We've heard you talk about Bitcoin a whole lot, right? What I want to know is what was the moment that made you truly believe in Bitcoin, right?
Mm,
And did you ever have a moment where you almost give up on it? Gave up on it?
yeah. So the moment where I almost gave up on it was in 2018 in January, when the big crash happened and Bitcoin went from like 20,000 all the way down to 3 eventually. That was like, oh shit. But I stuck with it, and I had the conviction that Bitcoin was revolutionary technology. And sorry, what was the other part of your question? Like when
What made you believe in it, like in the first
ah
place?
yeah, yeah. Well, so I came across it again in 2017, like I said, and I just studied it before really getting into like putting real money into it. I started studying and I watched this video on YouTube. It's called Bitcoin Under the Hood. And it basically just broke it down to me that it's an accounting system. Bitcoin is just a giant accounting system that doesn't need anybody to control it, just runs itself as people make transactions. So I'm like, oh man, it's just so simple, and it's just exactly what we need, because all the banks and people, all these centralized uh, entities are just become corrupt over time when they get all this power and they start taking from the little guy and this and that. So and I also had kind of like a big anti-bank um, sentiment to myself, just from studying like what I did in university and stuff like that. Just read some books about some of the mispractices of big banks and everything. I was just like anti-bank, and Bitcoin was like the bank killer, like the Airbnb to hotels,
Fight the
the
power.
Uber, the taxi, fight the power. And I still think it's changed a bit, but I still think it is that mentality for many people. And it's, maybe it's not perfect, but it's certainly a lot better system than the legacy financial system. So I can remember vividly watching that video at my old place in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, and just thinking, wow, this is legit. And then I started Googling, like, computer science, who's like the craziest hackers in the world, and like John McAfee's name came up, and he was like so pro crypto and pro Bitcoin. I'm like, oh man, yeah, this guy is like been running fucking antivirus and king hacker for all these years. I'm like, clearly he knows the technology when he sees it. So just learning some of the influencers are seeing what they're saying, some of the smartest people about this technology are saying, and then watching that specific video on YouTube really clicked for me. I'm like, wow, this is what I believe in, and this is what we need. And the decentralization aspect makes total sense to me.
Makes sense.
Yeah, well.
Makes sense. Yeah. In a weird way, crypto is kind of like, it feels like it's born out of a rebellion in a way. And it's nothing, I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think sometimes systems need to be challenged over time,
Yeah.
and that way systems can improve. So yeah. But let me ask you this, right? You're a
Yeah.
content creator, you have a podcast, and this is probably something that we could use, and people who are interested. What advice would you give someone who wants to get into crypto content creation? Because,
Mm.
or like, what was your motivation to get into crypto content creation? Because I could tell you mine. Um, I was watching a podcast where a guy was talking about real estate, right? And someone asked him, what advice would you give someone who don't have money but they're trying to get into real estate? And he said, talk about real estate, make content about
Mm.
real estate, and establish yourself in the real estate space. But beyond that, what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into like crypto content creation, stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, you got to go where the community's at. So you got to be on X, you got to be on Twitter. The more platforms, the better. And pick something. Don't sell yourself out to maybe advertise to people. People are going to offer you to pay you to advertise things that maybe aren't so good. So I would say just stick to the basics and just be humble as you do it. Use Twitter, use X to get your guests. That's a very great tool, and I've been really fortunate to talk to so many awesome people. Just connecting on X and getting them on my podcast that way. So go where the community's at. Yeah, and just study. You have to learn not just about Bitcoin and crypto, but you have to learn a lot about microphones and cameras and audio and visual and editing. But you guys use Riverside, which makes things really easy. I would say get yourself a subscription to something like Riverside, or maybe what we're using now, StreamYard, whatever works for you. There's so many out there now. You're going to be able to use AI. You can do a lot of things by yourself now. Yeah, there's a lot to it. Content creation is a full-time job, but AI is making it super easy now. I started doing an Eminem fan page too on Instagram. We got like over 30,000 followers, just posting random stuff on there. I saw he just performed at the Detroit Lions game with Jack White. That was cool to watch. So I'm just having fun out here, creating different types of content, trying new things while I'm out here because, like I said, I quit my job in Canada. Like, I don't know, Lambo, if you remember, but I was working for Canada Post for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And this is like my career. This is my pension, everything. And I quit and I came out here. So I'm just like riding with no income right now, just living off my savings. So I'm trying different things in content creation, and it's, you got to utilize AI. You got to be on all socials. The more, the better. And you got to stay. One thing that I lacked is consistency. So do something consistent. That's what people want to see. And yeah, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But it's really cool. It's really fun. You got to get comfortable being in front of a camera, which we're all doing right now. But to a lot of people, that's it's a big step. And it was for me at first too. Like I said, I only did my first 50 podcasts. My first 49 podcasts were just audio. And then I'm like, oh shit, I got to make the leap and be on video now. Like this is a whole nother level. So yeah, you got to get comfortable with that, man. There's a whole lot of stuff, but even Riverside, I would say follow on YouTube too. Go to like follow like Riverside on YouTube and stuff like that too, because they have awesome content creation tools and just general content creator information out there. Yeah, it's a whole world, man, and I'm still navigating it.
Yeah. So Brad, So, Brad, what I'd say is definitely we've gotten a lot of information from you. You've definitely helped us out with content creation ideas. You've explained Bitcoin, broke it down, and even explained to us different strategies we could use to even invest in it. So, our final question to you today will be, looking ahead in 5 to 10 years, what role do you think Bitcoin will play in the global financial system?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big question, man. It's a big question. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what it is going to be. And but I think right now it's like what, seventh or
Your audio, your audio, your audio. Hold on, wait. Hold on.
Yeah, I got an error me though.
You muted your mic.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, no, I got this like finicky little cord that keeps popping out over here. I think because I'm holding my mic as opposed to having it on a stand. So sorry about that, but yeah, where do I see Bitcoin in the next 5 or 10 years, man? Like I said, big question. Hopefully, it's like the money for the people, and it's being adopted for payments. Where we can get rid of these bullshit companies that steal our in between money. I know there's always going to be that in between, people taking a little bit in between, those third parties in between, but I think we can really minimize that with a tool like Bitcoin. I think the market cap's going to be like 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe up to $10 trillion. We could see we could see, what do they call it, hyper Bitcoinization. This is a really fun favorite word by people in the Bitcoin community, hyper Bitcoinization, which means like a very fast adoption of Bitcoin. And we really think we're in that that late 90s era where like the internet is like taking off like a lot. Hopefully we're going to get that in that Bitcoin right now and over the next couple of years with these ETFs and more people accepting it as something very legitimate. So, but at the same time, I feel like it's gone a little bit more boring too. So we really need people out here making Bitcoin fun again. So maybe that needs to be the big red American hat right there. Make Bitcoin fun again.
Make Bitcoin great
Yeah,
again.
my man.
Yeah. No, I think it's still great. I just think maybe it's not as fun as it used to be. With but maybe it will be fun again if we hit to like 200 grand in the next year. Maybe it'll be fun. So I think it may become a little bit more of a boring asset. But if we could get people using it, day-to-day payments, things like all these Lightning developers are doing, things like Jack Dorsey's doing. Integrating payments again and being able to use micro amounts of Bitcoin is really going to make it more fun again, and using money how it should be, simple, easy, basically free. So that's my hope. Hopefully, sort of what it is today, 5 or 10 years, sort of it is today. Bigger market cap, more users, more ETF inflows. Basically, all three of us are going to be rich down in. I'll come out down, hang out in Bahamas, and. Is that, you guys still down there, right? You still living there?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. It's a lot closer to home for me, so I am more inclined to be over there too. So.
Yeah, man, come over whenever you want, man.
Definitely.
All right, man. I love Bahamas.
But you heard it here, folks. Brad says we're gonna be rich, so we're gonna be rich.
Rich. Yeah,
Yep.
when day gets work for it.
It's going up forever. Get in now. Go to halvingreport.com. Canadians, Americans, go to halvingreport.com. You can see I have on all my articles. There's the Bitcoin well. That's the exchange, the non-custodial Bitcoin exchange I use. So you need your own private wallet. It's if you really want to keep maintain, go to the blog page. If you go explore blog and just click on any of the articles, click on any of them, and it will show Bitcoin well link there, and you get a little bit of free. I think it's open to just North America right now, but could be expanding in the future. Right there in the center there, best place to buy Bitcoin. So that's where I send people to buy nowadays, and you get little rewards. You win some free satoshis just for signing up. So I recommend everyone to go there. I think it is a good time to buy right now with the recent 30% dip. Man, I appreciate you guys inviting me onto your pod. Can't wait for it to come on. I like your guys' theme. Looks really cool. And yeah, man. Hopefully we can do it again in the future.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And for the audience, I just want you to give them all of your socials. Just tell them where they could find you.
Yeah, for sure. At Brad Mines on Instagram, at Bradley Mines on Twitter, at Halving Report everywhere. At Halving Report, HALVING, just like the Bitcoin Halving Report, YouTube, Instagram. Yeah, and then you can follow my personal page too. And but yeah, Halving Report on Twitter is really where I want to be focusing where all my new articles are going to be going. So on X, sorry, I keep calling it Twitter. I know it's X, been
Yeah,
X for a
it
while
is.
now. I just
It's
can't get out of this habit. I don't know what you guys are like, but yeah, that's my habit. So on X is going to be all my new articles, and we're diving deep into what's happening with Bitcoin. And it's for myself, it's for you guys. I don't want to post anything I wouldn't want to read anyway. So that's the best place to connect with me right now.
yeah. But Brad,
Yeah.
thank you once again for joining us on the CryptoNoobz Podcast, and shout out to the Halving Report. Please go and check out Brad. Please go and watch the Halving Report on all his socials. Add Brad. Brad is a cool dude and knows a lot about Bitcoin and could actually help you with understanding your Bitcoin and starting your Bitcoin journey. With that being said, to you guys once again, we thank you and good night. Okay, let's go.